it has been 3 months since the release of the Nintendo Switch 2. And now that is no longer the case of a new shiny toy. How good actually is it? What are my thoughts, and should you get one for yourself? So Nintendo Switch 2 came out 3 months ago, and at this point I feel like it has been more than enough time to really talk about if this is actually a console that is worth to get, especially for those that already had the Nintendo Switch 1 or the Nintendo Switch OLED, or maybe you have a Steam Deck OLED, if this is something for you. I personally owned the Nintendo Switch 1 originally, then the Nintendo Switch OLED when it came out, and also have the Steam Deck OLED. So I was kind of waiting for this to see how good the new Nintendo Switch 2 can actually be. Because let's be honest, in 2025, Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch OLED was just a little bit, or should I say a lot, underpowered compared to competition. I know there's many people that still don't care about the power aspect of the consoles. I feel like it was the thing that was holding it back. For example, for me, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was a game that I really wanted to play, and I remember playing the original Breath of the Wild when it released with the Nintendo Switch 1, and I really enjoyed that game, but that time was much different. And now, because the games are a little bit different, for example, now I'm playing on a 4K TV in 4K 60 frames per second, it is an OLED, and I play some games in even 120 frames per second. Having a game run at not even 720p on a handheld, and the frame rate going all over the place, even to the low 20s, it really was a hard experience to play with. And what I actually did is I stopped playing, hoping that once we get a second generation of Nintendo Switch, we're gonna have an updated version of the game, or at least like some kind of an update to have that better frame rate, at least the frame rate. And when I heard that this is gonna have the upgrades, I was like, okay, this is actually what I wanted. This is exactly what I was waiting for. And to be honest, playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on this screen, 1080p with 60 frames per second, is just an incredible experience. But even more so on the big screen TV in 4K 60 frames per second. To be honest, with Nintendo Switch 1, and especially the OLED later on, I pretty much stopped playing on the big screen after some time. I just didn't see the appeal of playing games at 500p when the screen is 4K, sitting so close to it and such a big screen, you really see the flaws. And now that I can play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in a beautiful resolution of 4K, in a stable 60 frames per second, and with nicer graphics, details, everything is just much better, this is the ultimate experience, the ultimate Nintendo Switch experience. But, like I said before, the novelty of a shiny new toy has worn off. And because of that, I feel like I'm starting to play a little bit less on it than I did at release. And I guess that is a given. Whenever you get something new, you're always gonna try to play a lot with it. You just want to get another round, another thing, just a little bit more. But once you get into like the real world situation once again, where other things are fighting for your attention, you kind of have to prioritize what you do. And you probably do what you want to do at the moment, and not just because I got a new Switch, I have to play on it. And the thing is, I found myself playing less and less. I feel like the biggest problem for me is that this Nintendo Switch 2, while it has, in my opinion, in hardware overall, just incredible upgrades in all things, and just, you know, before we go any farther, you know, the screen could be an OLED, but it's a nice LCD display, it's a full HD display, it's a much bigger display, can go up to 120 Hz. The, you know, just the Joy-Cons and how it feels in hand is much better, just better for my hands, and I guess for many too, because it's just, well, it's bigger, it maybe isn't more ergonomic how they made it, just slightly in the way they made it, but other than that, the size itself really makes this a much more comfortable console. And even things like the Joy-Cons, being the magnetic ones, and the click is just so satisfying. I feel like everything on this is just a huge improvement over the predecessor. And I feel like if you already have the Nintendo Switch 1 or Nintendo Switch OLED, I would still actually say go for it and get this one, because the games themselves work much better. It just makes it much more comfortable and just much better experience. In my opinion, the Nintendo Switch 2 is the ultimate experience for Nintendo Switch. If you haven't played on the original ones, or you already had one, but maybe you didn't play all the titles like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, or something like Mario Odyssey, those games run incredible on this Switch too. And I highly advise, if you never had one, but you are looking into getting the Switch, I would go for the Nintendo Switch 2 over the predecessors. Unless you're looking for something for kids, which maybe you don't want them to break something expensive, maybe you know they're not as careful, maybe that is going to be better, and they don't care about the frame rates and resolutions. But if you want to have that nice ultimate experience of the Nintendo Switch, all that it has to offer, I feel like this is a much better deal than the original Nintendo Switch. Just, you know, the performance itself is that much nicer. But you have to remember that the games that we have here are pretty specific. These are usually not the games that are AAA games that are on different consoles. Usually, if you get the Nintendo Switch, in this case the Nintendo Switch 2, you're probably gonna go for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Zeldas, Marios, those games that are specific to the Nintendo family of consoles. And I feel like if you're a person that likes those games, and you probably already know if you are that kind of a person, then in that case, this is a great handheld. If you are not a fan of those games and you are looking more for AAA games that are outside of the Nintendo system, I would definitely see different options. I feel like this is more about the games that are specifically made for it. But knowing how good the hardware is and how much of an upgrade it is, especially when you look at Cyberpunk 2077, how well it runs on the Nintendo Switch 2, I can definitely see more AAA games coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, just making it a much better option. But if you're someone that already played all the first-party IPs, like the Mario Odyssey, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, you played Pokemon, there's gonna be a much harder case to really justify this, because you're probably gonna play the same games. Okay, the Donkey Kong Bonanza came out and that has been having a great time, but other than that, a lot of the games are the same that you already played, or you had to have played somewhere else. For example, Cyberpunk 2077 is not a new game, and you can get it for much cheaper on different consoles. And if we're talking about cheaper games, you have to check out instant gaming. You can find great deals on games and subscriptions. This is actually where I got my Nintendo Switch Online subscription from. Usually when I'm looking for games, upgrade packs for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for example, and other kind of subscriptions or games, I definitely go there first to see if maybe they have a great deal on it. I can highly recommend instant gaming. I found great games for my Steam Deck OLED at just a couple of dollars. Like the whole Batman Arkham trilogy, same thing with other games I was able to find for $1 or $2, so there are great deals on instant gaming. And with that being said, together with Instant Gaming, we're doing a giveaway, where one of you can win a game of your choice. If you're interested in this month's giveaway, check out the link down below. But coming back to the Nintendo Switch 2, it is a console that for some is going to be an incredible experience. If you love handhelds, and if you love the Nintendo's first-party IPs, this is the best experience you can have on a console at the moment. And while I feel it's not the most ergonomic, I feel like the Steam Deck OLED is still much more ergonomic than this, but this has much different ways to play with. It has the removable Joy-Cons, which means you cannot change the way this is going to be built. You have incredible experience on the big screen. I feel like this is the best console if you want to use it as a hybrid. I feel like no other handheld comes even close to the experience of this as a hybrid console, where you can play on a big screen and take it out of the dock and continue where you left off on the handheld device. And add into that the Pro Controller, it is an incredible piece of technology for the big screen. But also, like I said, it's just nice that now we have a full HD screen with 60 frames per second on the handheld version, and it just being a little bit bigger, it makes it much more comfortable. And also, even though it's, you know, not as ergonomic, it also means that it's a little bit more portable. But, you know, seeing these consoles being this big, they are no longer a portable console per se. So 3 months later, how do I rate it? Personally, I've been playing less and less because the games that I wanted to play I already played before. Some games I still haven't touched, like Pokemon Scarlet. To be honest, I kind of started, but I kind of waited for a better opportunity. Usually I play on handhelds the most during our flights, so maybe there wasn't too many of them right now, and just it seems like it's the situation where I'm playing different things, and with, for example, if I'm playing with my friends, they usually play games on PS5 or Xbox Series X, so I'm playing somewhere there and just don't have the time for it. I'm sure I'm gonna get back to it for sure, especially when there's new games, but at this moment I feel like it's a great hardware that is needing a little bit more software and new exciting games for it. Because let's be honest, seeing how good the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom works on this, how good the dedicated Fortnite version for the Nintendo Switch 2 is, especially compared to the first version that we had for Nintendo Switch 1, and how good Cyberpunk 2077 works on it, you know, it is a great piece of a device. With that being said, Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about the Nintendo Switch 2 after the 3 months? Because to be honest, I feel like it's a great hardware that is just needing a little bit more software. And even the software that is here has been nicely upgraded. With that being said, if you have any more questions about the Nintendo Switch 2, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to go over all the questions that you might have for it. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.